Okay, this is the last video. You've made it. Congratulations. We're gonna do two quick things here. First thing is more of a viewport thing. If I select my surface and my corridor, this is my corridor, not my corridor surface, and I open this in the model viewer. Uh, sorry, I'm gonna change that back to conceptual. You can see that my surface will cover up my corridor wherever the surface is higher than the corridor. So you don't really get a good view of what the whole thing looks like together, and I don't like that. So I want to find a way to make the surface not appear above the corridor. Luckily, Civil 3D has a way of doing that through masks. So if I open up my O-Hill surface and expand that drop down, you can see this mask option here. The mask does basically what it says it's going to do, and you can assign an object into the mask, and the surface will not render wherever that mask is, which is exactly what we want here. So I'm going to create a mask on my surface, select my corridor as the object, if it will let me, which it might not. If it's not letting me select this, one other thing I can try to do is select this surface itself. So I'm going to go back to the display and turn it on so I can select it and see if it lets me mask on the O-Hill surface the surface from the corridor. So it looks like it does let me select the surface to mask it. So I selected the object and I'm going to hit enter. And you can see this pop-up show up. I'm going to call this road mask. And I want it to mask inside of the mask. So anything inside the mask will not show up. So that looks good to me. And now I'm going to hit OK. It's going to compute. I'm going to turn this surface off now for the road corridor. And now you can see, it might be hard to tell, but there are no contour lines underneath this now. So when I select just the surface, for example, and add it to my model viewer, you're going to see a big hole. It's loading here. Doesn't seem like Civil 3D likes this very much. But you can still see how there's no contour lines being selected underneath the corridor itself. So it looks like it worked. It just doesn't look like Civil 3D likes what it did. There we go. So that's a good reminder to always make saves, always make backups as you need it. But yeah, you can see what it looks like. It looks really choppy because of how the daylighting works. But I also had the mid-ordinate distance set to 10 feet. If I lowered that, it would have been higher resolution than this. So now what I can do is sort of minimize this, and I'm going to actually add my corridor to the model viewer. And I can add my buildings as well, but it's still overlapping a little bit, so I'm going to play around with that mid-ordinate distance if I can. So instead of it being 10 feet, I'm going to change it to 1 feet. All right, so looks like that applied. I'm going to reselect both objects, and I also want my buildings to show up. They should be extruded in this style. I could have also just highlighted everything. I don't know why I didn't do that. And it might take a second to add all of these to the model viewer, but hopefully we'll get a good look at what all of O-Hill looks like that we just modeled. Sorry for the pause there. When I opened it up, I actually noticed that a lot of my buildings were no longer 3D solids. And if you run into a similar issue, that might have to do with moving everything around in the very first part of this deliverable. You don't need to redo any of them if that ends up happening to you unless you want to. Not that it takes super long, but for this deliverable, the main thing that we'll be looking at are the actual intersections and roadways. So you can see I have everything here, and that it looks pretty good to me. I would uh, kind of wish that the surface didn't go over it quite as much, um, but that's okay. And yeah, so that's what the model looks like. Now that it's all completed, you're going to submit a couple of screenshots from here. Notably, submit one showing your whole site, so maybe something like this, or like this. Make sure it's visible and bright enough as well, though. If you need to take screenshots easily, snipping tool, probably your best bet. And then also take one of your McCormick and Alderman intersection like this. Maybe turn off the surface so we can just see the actual intersection itself. And you can do another one for the Treehouse Drive and Alderman intersection as well. You're also going to submit some plan sheets. All of those are outlined in the assignment document. I believe you need to submit one of all of your assemblies. So you can do like one sheet like this and maybe another sheet with these on it. You need to do one with your profiles. Do one just showing your alignments and your surface. So go back to, I think it was 4B that I did it on. Whatever one you did your alignment creation on. Do one here. Like this, like I would just turn this off and do this. So submit that as well. Again, all of those requirements are listed in the document. And be sure when you're creating these sheets that you're adding them to your sheet set already. It will speed up the process at the end of the deliverables, back or in December. It'll make it a lot easier for you if you just go ahead and add them now. So do that. The last thing we need to do here is create a combined surface. So we have that corridor surface that's hidden right now and our actual existing surface. So just to go over quickly how to combine them, if you create a new surface, I'm going to call this like master surface or combined surface. Anything like that would work. I'll do background. Doesn't make that big of a difference, but and then hit OK. When I go to the definition tab for this surface, you can see you have the ability to put edits. And if you right click edits, you can paste a surface in. So I can click both of my surfaces. I am holding down shift, and that way I can select multiple surfaces, or you can do control and select them individually. I'll hit OK. Now, if I go to my OHL surface and I turn the contours off here as well, you can see that everything else that's still here is from this master surface, right? So if I select this, you can see everything there, and it's including the roads. That's one surface. So one thing to note here is if you go into your surface properties, and the definition, the pasting order matters in creating your surfaces. You can think of this kind of as the draw order Civil 3D uses or prioritizes. Anything that's put first gets drawn first, and anything that's put last gets drawn last. So you want the surface that you want to appear on the top to be on the bottom, if that makes any sense. I can show you what I mean by that if I switch the order of these, so that way the surface of the road is first and then the surrounding area is second, and I rebuild the surface and I select this. Notice that this is exactly the surface that we had working with. This is the surface we've been working with this whole time, right? But if I go in and redo that change, so I put the corridor road surface on the bottom, which is what we just made, and I rebuild that, you can see the contour lines update. And when I go to view this, the surface actually has the roadway that we just made. And you can see that with the sidewalk and the retaining wall, right? So the pasting order or the draw order does matter when you're doing something like this. But now we have one surface that represents all of our elevations. This would be great to do water analysis on, or any like other kind of analyses. If you want to do, profiles or section cuts, you can do that on this surface. So just showing you guys how to do that. We'll be doing this in Deliverable 5 as well. You've now made it to the end, so good job. Remember to submit those screenshots outlined in the deliverable document, as well as the plan sheets outlined in the deliverable document.